I think people are looking for, this. For me, I can say on myself that I love teaching and I love being, interacted with people. So it's really, for me, any chance to do that is nice. Not just to sit at home and watch my cats ruin the house.
Right.
We're gonna wait a little longer for more people to come. Here, I already see a few more.
It's very nice here. I don't know if you have the same thing in your Zoom. It rings like somebody rings at the door. It's like Patuach.
It's just for you because you are the
host.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or this.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so happy that Zoom is working well because we were a little bit panicking before. We heard there's some problems with the Zoom. So.
Oh, there was a problem all around because I couldn't get in. Oh,
yes.
That's explaining it. It was terrible. Yes. I thought my camera and the computer was gone.
Yeah, no, it was a problem all around today. Mainly in the morning in Israel. So I don't know if...
So let's cross our fingers that we will make it through this session. And we are also live on Facebook. So
hi Heidi.
Hi. Shalom. I also see Jonathan. Hey.
Hello.
I will also see you tomorrow, Jonathan, right?
Hi, Ladonna.
That was wonderful what you did in the backyard with the plastic. That was chokhmah. That was
even
me'achuz.
Hey, also Ladonna.
Ladonna, how are you?
Hello. So you need to introduce me to people.
Yes,
you guys will introduce yourself because I'm new to the party. It's like we need to imagine that we're mingling. We should have brought some tapas or
some cheese.
You're most welcome, Jonah. Beer and bagel next week or week and a half.
Beer and bagel. Where is it?
On the Zoom.
Okay.
I'm gonna give the honor to Noah today because I asked her. I'm so happy she joined, and I really wanted her to introduce you because she introduced you to me. So,
but Noah, you need to introduce me to the other people to me as well.
Oh, okay. So hi everyone. Can we start, Avital?
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's see. I will write more people to join us.
Okay.
Noah?
Yes.
Would you like to begin?
Be selected in the top 30.
Sure.
זה רק הספיקרס, תראי.
Hey guys.
זה היה קודם... זה נורא חזק, אבל בסדר, אני אוציא אותם קצת.
כן, תוציא אחת.
Okay.
That could have been disastrous.
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. So, hi everyone. I'm happy to see familiar faces. And Andrea was here a minute ago. I didn't say hi. So, hi also in Hungary and also in the US and in Israel. I'm very pleased to open this Limmud Shavuot. If someone doesn't know me, that I'm Noah Tene. I'm the co-chair of the Community Engagement Committee. And I live in a most exciting, beautiful village, small village in the Western Galilee called Nesamim. and it's in Matteh Asher. And I'm very excited to introduce to all of you our new rabbi of the Regional Council of Matteh Asher. She's with us for a few months already. Before she's a rabbi, she's also a good friend, which I miss very much. I haven't seen her for 8 weeks already. Yeah. And,
I think so, yeah.
And so this is Yael. She's a Reform rabbi. She will tell about herself. And before Yael came to our council, our regional council, we didn't have a Reform rabbi. So it's new, and I think it's exciting, and it's a new platform which can be also great, also for the communities around the Western Galilee, and a platform for connections in our partnership. And I'm very happy that she's taking part in the partnership now. So I'm excited with that too. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, great. So first of all, it's great to see new faces, and I would like to get to know you guys a little bit. So I'll ask you a question in a minute. I'm just going to say a little bit more about this position, because it's kind of a new position in Israel. It's been around for the last 6-7 years. So 6-7 years is pretty new. A regional rabbi is a very different job than a congregational rabbi in the city. It means that we give liberal Judaism services, if you can say it like this, to secular kibbutzim, moshavim, all the area around, or sometimes little cities. In Matteh Asher, it also means that we are working with the Muslim congregation as well as the Jewish congregation. We're supposed to work with all the different sections of the regional council, and kind of teach what is liberal Judaism, what does it mean, bring the spirit of the holiday, bring the spirit to the ceremonies, to the life cycle ceremonies, have a different kind of bat mitzvah and bar mitzvah and funerals than the Orthodox rabbi give. If the council has an Orthodox rabbi, they can have also a liberal rabbi. It's not instead of the Orthodox rabbi. It's together with the Orthodox rabbi. The council gets an Orthodox rabbi automatically, and if they want a liberal rabbi, they have to ask for it. So I had to sign. I sent a petition to different places in the council, and people had to sign that they want a liberal rabbi in the council. So it's a very fascinating, very exciting job. It's lots of traveling from one place to the other. Just to give you a sense of what I mean, for Shavuot, I have 5 different lessons in 5 different places in the regional council. So it means that I drive from one place to the other, and in each place I give the lesson, and then I drive on. I came to the West Galilee from the West Negev. I was the regional rabbi of Sha'ar Negev, which is the Gaza envelope, for 4 years. I was there during the last Gaza war. And after 4 years, the movement placed me in Jerusalem for a year. And after a year in Jerusalem, I said, okay, enough is enough. Enough of the city. I want to go back to working in the area with the kibbutzim and the moshavim, the agricultural space of Israel. So my friend makes fun of me that I moved from the Gaza envelope to the Lebanon envelope. It's always on the edge. And it's a very, as I said, a very exciting and very creative sort of position. I just want to say another, I think, important fact about it is that it was a decision of the High Court of Justice in Israel. So it's not that the government decided by itself to give a position for a liberal rabbi in the councils. It was the decision of the High Court of Justice, and my salary is part from the government, is in part from the reform movement. So it was a big achievement for liberal Judaism in Israel to get sponsored by the government. I have to say that the compromise, though, was that we're not getting our salary from the Ministry of Religion. We are getting the salary from the Ministry of Culture. So you can say that it was a very big compromise, because for them it means that we are not a religious stream of Judaism, but we are a cultural stream of Judaism. That's politics for you. So
I wish we had it in Akko too.
Well, yeah, everything is possible. Now they're having, the High Court of Justice is dealing with there's a new trial for city rabbis. So maybe it will change. Who knows?
Okay.
It's everything is possible. And I want to start this conversation by asking you guys, how do you celebrate Shavuot? Or if you wanna share, what is your first memory of Shavuot? I think this can be very interesting as well.
I can start. My memory of Shavuot is like the house is being decorated with flowers, green leaves, things like that. And we're going to synagogue, of course, and we have a big, how do you say it? Big meal, but without meat, just dairy things, and that's it. And Tikkun Shavuot I never been in, even though I come from a religious family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My first experience was with ice cream. Always the ice cream.
That's always good. Always good. But
ice
can
cream
you
party.
Say your name, please?
Oh, I'm LaDonna.
Ice cream party.
Yeah. Big ice cream party. We're from Peoria, Illinois.
Okay.
And I always had my children take green plants to the Rabbi. So, to be honoring that, but mostly about ice cream. That's what my kids got the most out of it.
Wow, that sounds like my kind of Shavuot.
but then we had a shaliach, and then a couple of them, and they encouraged us to wear white.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, and so we had a big party, and everybody brought dairy products and stuff like that.
For kids, it's problematic to have white clothes with ice cream.
It's more problematic for the mother. The children still have a very good time. But otherwise, it's just very joyful, very exciting and stuff.
Nice. Very nice.
Okay, so I'm from Ekba. My name is Tanya. And my first memory of Shavuot is when I was, maybe 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, the whole community on trackers and wagons going through the fields of our community.
Where are you from?
Regba.
Regba, okay.
The fields and coming to what is, I think you'd call it a common.
Uh-huh.
And we gathered there, and my father, who was a farmer, a professional farmer, used to be a sheep herder, shepherd, before he became a farmer. So his task was to shear the sheep. And everybody stood around the table to see how he was shearing the sheep.
Wow, it's very exciting.
Shearing the sheep after coming off the trackers and well, of course, milk and ice cream and stuff. But the impact is my father shearing the sheep.
Wow.
Does anybody else want to share? Okay.
You can unmute yourself, and if you want to share, you can also, if you want to share in the middle, you can also raise your hand, and then we'll see you. Right? Hopefully, we'll see you. We need to yeah. So the reason I'm asking it is because, well, we already had a few different answers.
I think that Marcy wanted to say something. Hey, Marcy.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to
yes.
say that in the U.S., Shavuot, especially in the progressive Reform Jewish movement, meant confirmation. And that's when we finished our second year of high school, Jewish high school. And so that's really what Shavuot was for us. It wasn't until I was an adult where I realized it could be a lot more.
And can you explain to the other people what is confirmation?
Sure. So confirmation, as you know, girls, especially in the Reform movement, when the Reform movement started, there was not a push for a bar mitzvah. Boys didn't have to have a bar mitzvah. And certainly in religious, girls didn't have a bat mitzvah. So adopting from the Christian world, they thought, well, let's celebrate kids when they finish their sophomore year of high school, and we'll call it confirmation in the same way that it was done in the church. So it became a celebratory event, and it kept kids involved in synagogue learning through high school.
Great. LaDonna, you wanted to say something else?
Well, you know, she is correct. And where I'm very proud of my children, they grew up in the Reform movement, but they boycotted as a class not to have confirmation because they felt, again, that it came from Christian roots. So I love that Reform is becoming, you know, more progressive to pay attention to those things. You know, I mean, there used to be so many parallels, especially in the States, like early Reform even met on a Sunday instead of Shabbat. They, you know, did things like that. So it's nice that we're kind of, I think at least my children feel empowered to take back some of the, you know, or get rid of some of the things that were adopted that were not necessarily Jewish. So it's good.
Interesting. It's very interesting. I think that, you know, well, I came from comparative religion. My BA is in comparative religion, and my MA is in Jewish studies. And there's so many, you know, effects of different religions on Judaism, not only Christianity, but also what I was researching is mainly the effects of Buddhism and Hinduism on Judaism. And I think it's very natural, you know. It's so we can look at it as a bad thing that happened, and we can also look at it as a natural, you know, wave, you can say, that happens all through humanity. That because we live in the same you can say planet, we experience it now. And we were all human at the end. We affect each other. We teach each other. It can make us more. It can enrich our world. So
absolutely.
I think it's an interesting discussion. If how do we see these effects? So first of all, thank you guys for sharing. And again, if somebody wants to share, just raise your hand, and then we'll know that you want to share or you want to ask a question. We're going to talk today about the different phases, you can say, of Shavuot. And it went through lots of different, you can say, reincarnations in a way. And it got different faces throughout the ages, where everybody has their own interest in giving it the next meaning, if we can say it in this way. So it can be, I think that everything is politics. So it can be, a certain political aspect to it, and we'll try to kind of touch base on these things. So Shavuot started in the Bible. It's it's in the Bible. It says that we need to take the first crops and to bring it to the temple. And this was the original meaning of the holiday. It was one of the free pilgrimage holidays, Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuot. And then one of the question is, now when we look at Shavuot, we think about it as the holiday that the people of Israel got the Torah, got the Bible. This is why the confirmation that you were talking about is happening in Shavuot, because it's very meaningful as the day that the people of Israel were standing next to Mount Sinai, wearing white. This is also one of the reasons that they told you to wear white, because they were wearing white when they got the Bible. But it's not mentioned in the Bible. It's not mentioned as the holiday that the people of Israel got the Bible. So the question is, when did it start and who started it?
Jonathan.
Okay, Jonathan wants to say something.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, I mean, I think it's even a little more confusing because you don't really know when it's supposed to start.
You're right.
I mean, it could be the week. I mean, you don't really know. There's like 4 different ways of calculating what it could have been,
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's a very confusing holiday, because the original holiday, or we can say the original meaning, was a very agriculture holiday. We're supposed to kind of count the days, right? We count the days between the one seorah, between the of Shala, like when the seorah, when one sort of wheat, you can say, is already prepared, to the time when the wheat is prepared, and we can take it and bring it to the temple. But not only that this is confusing, because you need to see exactly the times, it's also what is really confusing when you're in Israel. You see that actually the wheat is already done, it's already prepared in Pesach. Okay, it's already yellow and it's already ready to be taken to the temple. So one of the interpretations for it is that it's not exactly when the wheat is done, when the wheat is okay, but when it's ready to become bread. And what they actually brought to the temple was not, a basket full of fruits. Like when I was in kindergarten, this is what we brought to the kindergarten, a basket full of fruit, but basically 2 pieces of bread that was already done. So there's all kinds of interpretations to it, and of course our wise people had, there's endless discussion about exactly when it's supposed to be, and further on, there was a decision 2,000 years ago of the South Judea cult. This is how we call it now, Kat Midbar Yehuda. They had all kinds of different names that research gave them along the years. And they were the first one that said, this is also the holiday of the Torah. This is when they got the Torah. Now, this cult was, it was in the Judea desert. There weren't a lot of people that were a part of this cult. So the other wise people really objected to them saying that it's the time of the Torah, and pushed it away. They said this is not the holiday when we received the Torah, and only in the Byzantine period, which is much further on in the Talmud period, they decide to accept this minority, you can say, position, and accept it as the holiday where we got the Torah. But just to confuse you a little bit more, there's a conversation, there's a really interesting discussion about it, and some other wise people suggest a different date to when the people of Israel got the Torah. Can somebody knows? And I have to say, in this date, they wear white. We wear white as well. Another holiday.
Dipper.
Marcy, you're in mute.
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur. Yeah, you're right. Another interpretation is that we got the Torah in Yom Kippur. I personally love this interpretation because it means that Yom Kippur is a really good holiday. It's a day of love. It's a day of forgiveness. It's a day of relief, and not a day of tension like a lot of times. There's a lot of tension built around Yom Kippur. So we're moving on. We're jumping in time to the time of Zionism, and we're jumping to the 20s, to the early 20s in Israel, where they decided that they want to create like a parallel called spiritual center to the temple. And so this was not the first time in Zionism that there was such a need to create a different spiritual center. And in Jerusalem, there were two spiritual centers that people suggested to be, to replace the temple. One of them was a place where they used to bring the first crops. They took the first crops, and the other one you can say was spiritual first crops or intellectual first crops. Can you guess what were these places? What can they be? I'll give you another.
Michelle.
Where? I'll give you another
my
hint.
head.
What?
Scratching her.
Okay. So I'll give you another hint that Jerusalem is built on mountains, and there's holy mountains in Jerusalem. There's Olive Mount, and there's Temple Mount, of course, Moriah Mount, which is the same as Temple Mount. And so one of the spiritual centers that I'm talking about is also built on a mountain. The other one is in a neighborhood in Jerusalem that is called Rechavia. Okay, so one of the spiritual center one is on Mount Scopus, is the Hebrew University. When the Hebrew University was founded, David Ben-Gurion said that this is going to be the new temple. It's going to be a temple of knowledge. It's going to be a temple that will create the new Jew as he saw it. And Albert Einstein came to cut the ribbon of the Mount Scopus University at the Hebrew U. It was a source of pride. It was so extreme, the way that they looked at the university, that in '67, when they divided the city to east and west, the Mount Scopus, if you remember, the area of the university was like a small island inside of Jordan, just so to keep the temple alive, the new temple. But they didn't used to bring the first crops to the temple. They used to bring it to the temple, to the university, the Hebrew University. Maybe for me, it's a little bit of a temple as well. But they used to bring it to Rechavia. In Rechavia, there was a big house. Well, actually, it stands there until today. And this house belongs to the JNF. And what they did is all over Israel, not only in Jerusalem, but it was mainly in Jerusalem. There was a whole parade coming to the area of the JNF.
Keren Kayemet L'Israel.
Keren Kayemet L'Israel. Oshiskin, which was one of the leaders of the JNF, used to stand on the balcony and raise the crops, raise the wheat like the priest used to do in the temple. And I say everything is politics. It's very interesting in how they kind of reclaimed the concept of the religious temple and turned it into a Zionist temple. Because what they did with the money, part of it. First of all, part of the fruits and vegetables that the people brought were used to having a big meal. That some of the people of Jerusalem, like the leaders of Jerusalem or the leaders of Haifa or the leaders of the different areas where they did where they had the ceremony, used to eat together. And part was sold and used to buy land, and to buy trees and do what Kakal does. I'm sure that some of you had the little box for Kakal to contribute. So it was something like this. They used to sell the crops and use it for cacao. More or less in the same time that they did the ceremony with the JNF, they started the parades in the kibbutzim and later on in the moshavim, where they used to bring the first crops of the kibbutz and show it around and parade it around. And of course, the most adorable, I think, tradition is to show the first babies of the kibbutz. By the way, it's something that is done until today.
Yeah, but this is pretty new. I mean, it's not from the beginning.
No, not from the beginning.
Not a part of the celebration.
Yeah, you're right that it's not from the beginning.
Last 40 years, more or less.
Yes. So it's not, you're right, it wasn't from the beginning. In the beginning, I did some digging in the archives of the National Library, and I found all kinds of ads in the newspaper that were really objecting to the parades in the kibbutzim and the moshavim. Mainly from the Orthodox part, saying that you can't, that by doing this, they really kind of erased even, there were really difficult words, like erased the tradition of bringing the first crops to the temple, and kind of taking it to a completely different direction, that people were afraid that this direction will in some way, if not erase, then it will make it fade, the original essence of the holiday. So one of the things that I was asking myself is, when did the cheese part start? I mean, Ladonna, I loved what you said about the ice cream. I'm all for the ice cream. But how is it connected to Shavuot? I mean, it's a little bit confusing. As I said, there's a couple of things that are confusing about this holiday, and doesn't really connect in a natural way in our brain. So I read all kinds of things that didn't convince me. The only thing that I have to say was a little bit more convincing is there is a phrase in the Bible that says that the Bible is like a honey and milk on our tongue. כמו חלב ודבש על לשוננו. And since the Bible is started to be the hero or heroine, the way that depends how you see the Bible in our story, then in some way you can connect the phrase, but then you will need also to have honey in the picture, not only milk products. And I think it's mostly commercial, and it's where other kind of politics, which we can say a capitalistic politics, gets into the picture and convince us that we need to consume milk products as part of the celebration of the holiday. I couldn't find like a substantial answer to this question. Another thing that comes. Wait, Jonathan, you want to say something? What?
Before the laws of kashrut, so you don't have the laws of kashrut yet. So we can't eat meat. So you're safe with the dairy. You're safe with the dairy,
yes, that's true, for sure. But you can be also safe with only meat.
What, Michelle?
In a way.
And then you have lactose intolerance, the curse of the people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. As a vegetarian, I'm very happy about Shavuot. But yeah, it's, if you're lactose intolerant, it's a problem. But you can also, focus on the fruits, the new fruits that are coming to the picture, the cherries and all the summer fruits, the peaches, all these things. Which brings me to another very interesting part of Shavuot, that in some of the interpretations they see it as a very frightening, like the way between the time between Pesach and Shavuot, the time that we count the Omer, is a very frightening time for a lot of people. It's like it's the unknown. We don't know if the fruits will be ready by the time in the count. By the time we finish counting. So it's also a relief when they're finally here.
I
jumped. What?
It's also Lag BaOmer is a plague going on. So
yes.
Plague issues like we have today.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of you're touching a very important point. In Lag BaOmer, there were lots of rabbis that were, praying that in the same way that the plague stopped in Lag BaOmer 2,000 years ago, it will stop now as well. But there's a condition for it. The plague stopped because they started treating each other with respect.
Wearing a
what?
Wearing a mask.
Well, it can be like this, but it can be also, kind of a moral question to us in this time. Do we treat each other in respect? Do we give? Answer to Masechet Avot? It says, "Hi kvod chavercha chaviv alecha keshelcha." Your friend honor, respect, or dignity. In English, there's so many names to the same word. In Hebrew, we have only one name, only kavod. In English, you have so many other words, and each one has a slightly different meaning. So I think it's a very good question for ourselves. If the plague stopped because they started treating each other with dignity and respect and honor, what does it say about us?
I'm gonna read what Michelle wrote.
Okay. Next to the synagogue, is there an alternative to dairy? Okay.
You have to go. Okay. You have to go. Bye, Michelle. She had to go.
Okay. But you also said if there is an
alternative
to dairy.
Yes.
And I think it's the fruits. I think the fruits and also the bread and the wheat.
Exactly.
It was a mainly celebration of the wheat, of the
bread.
Yeah.
But as the only representative of farming here in this session.
Why? I'm from Rosh Hanikra.
Okay, but you weren't born there. So,
no.
So this time of year, first of all, most of the sheep give birth to their little ones and cows. So there's a lot of milk going on, and not everything can be used by the calves and by humans. So this is one reason for the dairy.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
The fruits that were there were, of course, no peaches and no apricots and stuff like that, but they had berries. And berries are ripe at this time of year as well. So here we go with the fruit. And basically, this is really the time of bread, of wheat,
yes,
flour, and everything that you can make of flour. So this is what the farmers were celebrating and bringing to the temple.
Yeah, I completely agree. As I said, I came from the western Negev, and the western Negev is called the wheat fields or the barm of Israel, because it's all wheat fields. So I used to really see it with my own eyes. It was so
Yes.
beautiful this time of the year.
There's one more aspect to the whole thing. This is a time of transition between winter and summer. And first of all, a lot of the crop can be ruined by hamsins and by rain not in time, and you know, everything else that can come, like a locust, for instance, that used to come into Israel at that time. But it is also a time of uncertainty in life and death. Because of the change of weather, many people got sick.
Yeah.
So a lot to celebrate and
to this year's the corona.
Yeah, the corona is one of them. So this is really a time of giving thanks to whatever you believe in, and in this case.
Yeah, it's a really, I agree with you that there's a couple of things. Michelle, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, when you're done. When you're done, I was going to comment on something that Tanya said.
Okay. So I just want I'll say that I really agree with you. And another thing that I think about every time that that we're reaching Shavuot is that it's so similar to the time between Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah. Because after Tisha B'Av, so first of all, it's the same time. It's 7 weeks, and we count the weeks of nechama, of like it's not mercy, it's nechama, compassion, or between what?
It's comfort.
How do you say it? Comfort. Nechama. Okay, so it's comfort, and it's we need to comfort ourselves after the destruction in the temple, and then Rosh Hashanah we start something completely new. So in a way, there's a similarity between Pesach and like the time between Pesach and Shavuot, and the time between Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah. And you can say also from 1st of Elul, when we start the Slichot, or when the Sfaradim starts the Slichot, to Yom Kippur. It's also 50 days, and again we talked about the interpretation that the Bible was given in Rosh Hashanah and in Yom Kippur, and that the Bible was given in Shavuot. So there's a few similarities between the two. I just want to say one more thing, and then I'll give you guys the I'm doing this, or this is how you're in the computer, that I jumped over something very important, which is very surprising for me that I jumped on it, because my part of my research is Kabbalah, is the 16th century, where the Tikkun starts. The Tikkun, the Kabbalistic Tikkun, that starts in the 16th century, that brings the mystical interpretation to this holiday, where the Mekubalim are sitting not so far away from us now in Tzfat, about less than an hour drive, I think, and from night till the morning, and in their minds they are decorating the bride, which I love. I love this image. And when they mean decorating the bride, is talking about taking all kinds of sentences, phrases from the Bible, and giving it their interpretation, their decoration. And the bride is the Torah, and they are preparing the bride to the meeting with the Torah that is written, to the meeting with the Torah Shebe'al Peh, the oral Torah. It's the unification between the female side of God and the male side of God, and it all happens, all the preparations happens during the night, where when the dawn is when the sun will rise, the special unification will start, which is also a beautiful aspect of this holiday. And in Israel, in our times, there are people who are still doing what the Kabbalistic used to do in the 16th century, but also the Tikkun has a lot of different faces. When I was living in Jerusalem, then there were different lessons throughout the night in different places in Jerusalem. In the synagogue, we had lots of lessons. It's not exactly in the Kabbalistic way, but it's also from about 10 at night to the sunrise. So this is also like one of the, I think one of the as I said, reincarnations of the holidays from the time where they started to what is the new interpretation of it today. Yes, comments, questions. Michelle, you wanted to say something before?
So yes, now it's a little out of order,
sorry.
but no, it's okay. So first of all, I wanted to apologize that I joined late. I was running another program that ran a little overtime. So until I finished with that program, and now I'm here. So thank you for doing this. And then, so Tanya was talking about the berries. So just yesterday, I'm in Indianapolis, and we, although it's the middle of May, we have had freeze after freeze. I mean, it would get very warm and then it would freeze again. Really crazy weather. I was still wearing my winter coat, scarf, and hat just a few days ago. And today it's like really hot. So the other day I was walking with my husband, and near one of our synagogues, those of you who have been here have know the synagogue Bethel Tzedek, and they have lots of trees around their parking lot. My husband, who's Israeli, got all excited and said, let me go check out the berry tree. Let's see if they're ready, because they should be at this time of year, right? Because that's what's ingrained in us as Israelis. And he's looking around and there's no berries. And he's like, I can't believe we should be in Israel. So never mind that comment. But so celebrating the holidays here, I mean, you know, Tu B'Shvat, I mean, it's a joke here. The ground is frozen in February, usually comes around January, February. So just experiencing the holidays, any of them, doing it here in Indianapolis is just so different. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do a little advertisement for one of our partnership cities. So Fort Wayne, Indiana, right now, I think it would be this week, would have their Cherry Blossom Festival.
Oh, so beautiful.
We canceled it, but I mean, the trees are still doing their thing, but I'm kind of, you know, if we could get from Fort Wayne some pictures of the cherry blossoms, you know,
Good idea.
Yes, it's really thank you guys for these comments. I think they're very interesting, and they're like really giving us the picture of you know, of your home. It's because in Israel, for example, this is a time where you pick the cherries. I have friends who just posted pictures that they were in the Golan Heights and picked the cherries, which is one of the most wonderful things I did in my life. A cherry tree is something that you're like, is it real? Is it real? For sure. Like it's so beautiful and it's so tasty. Then it's a great experience. So yeah, here by the way, it's very, very, very hot now. So I think what I try to do is like give us a very short introduction to the different roles or different incarnations, if you can say, of if we're talking about Tzfat in the 16th century, it's one of the things that they really believed in, the reincarnations of the holiday. But I think that there is also something that is very common to these different you know, interpretations of the holiday, and it's the connection to the ground and to the connection to the text and the connection to nature. And I personally think that even if you say that the main theme of the holiday is accepting the Torah, you also kind of you know, put yourself in the desert, standing on the ground, experiencing something that was, you know, that is the biggest sound effects and and effects generally that was event Maybe with competition, a side competition to the parting of the Red Sea, but like a great event that happened in nature. And in some way, you can see that there's a thread that is connecting these ideas together. I want to add just another thing, although we can sit here all night. Two more or less new interpretations. One is not so new; it's an old tradition of the Jews of North Africa that called Shavuot the water holiday. And there's a tradition that some of them are doing until today, where they throw water at each other. And they believe that if the water touches you in Shavuot, you're blessed through all the year. So it started from throwing a little bit of water in synagogue at the people that were reading the Torah. And this was like a blessing for them. If the water touched them, then it's a blessing, kind of like you throw the candies in the, no, I'm kidding, there's something else. And now what they do is a lot of times the kids are throwing water balloons or other things that they do in order to bless the people that are walking in the neighborhood below.
So blessed. Very scary.
Yes, it's very similar in a way. When I saw it first time, it reminded me of Holi. The day in India, where they throw color at each other. So here it's water. And another thing is that in the Reform movement in Israel, you'll tell me if it's done also in the Reform movement in the States. We have this thing that we bless the people that went through conversion through the conversion class. It's all the new mitgairot and mitgairim because of Ruth, to remember. Oh. Yeah, I was just waving to Noah's son, which I like a lot. Hey. Okay. So this is a very, very moving ceremony where they bring all the people that went through the conversion, and they put them under a canopy that is made out of the rabbi's talit, and all the congregation blesses them, and it's a very beautiful and very moving new tradition to add to Shavuot. And to remember that Ruth was the first converted, you can say, Jew in the Bible.
With the temperatures that you're having in Israel now, the whole water thing is very, very desirable.
Refreshing. That's true. Refreshing. It's very refreshing.
Yeah,
I agree.
The weather is crazy.
Climate change is real. It's happening. So I'm personally very curious to know what will be the next role of Shavuot. Oh, hello, puppy.
Excited to see us.
Yes, I'm the only reason why you don't see a tail on the screen or face of a kitten looking is that I'm not at home, because my kittens joined all my Zoom meetings. Then they love walking on the computer and showing themselves.
So does my kids.
So it's nice.
For us here in the Midwest, I think Shavuos too. Now today is not the example for where I'm at because it's gray and raining and stuff. But more times than not, because we've transitioned from winter, Tu B'Shvat, just we don't get it in our heads here. But we finally feel like we're emerging. We're just, so all the symbolism of, feeling good again and longer days and stuff can play out at this time of year. I mean, it's like many times the party that we would attend, it was the first time the kids are done with school, so they got to stay up late, they got to be happy, lots of wonderful parallels that go on. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think I keep in my mind all the time that it used to be, Pesach used to be the beginning of the year. So Shavuot it's a completely different way of beginning the year than when you begin the year in Rosh Hashanah now that the days are getting shorter. It's very interesting how, to compare them. When I look at the sign of the partnership, I remember that there's a whole other aspect that I didn't talk about, and I'll just mention it briefly. That Shavuot usually it's in June. This time it's at the end of May, and usually Shavuot falls in June. And in the Reform movement in Israel again, and I would love to hear how is it in the States. But in the Reform stream in in Israel, we dedicate June to the Pride Parade and to the Pride months, and so there's a couple of lessons that connects the root scroll to the Pride months. There's a beautiful LGBTQ how do I say it, like parshanut or suggestion or interpretation. This was the word that I was looking for, to the root scroll. So there's all kinds of events that go on in the Reform movement in Israel that connects Shavuot and the Pride months. And I think if you ask me what is the new role, you can say, or reincarnation of this holiday will be, I predict that it will be more emphasis of the women's role in the holiday or in the root scroll. I think that there will be more and more women events, that are again emphasizing it. What?
You couldn't tell that from this call.
Yeah, exactly. This is part of it, and I think that this would be like the new emphasis in this holiday, something that is looking more in a deeper way of the women's role in this holiday. Yes, Marcy.
And I just because I just wrote this down. I had not heard of this. Is there any connection, biblical, Talmudic, that connects Shavuot with Pride Month or women's?
So there's first of all, I think that I can send you the article. I don't remember if it's in Hebrew or in English, but there was a beautiful article that was written about the root scroll from this perception, and it's it's one interpretation, but it's a very convincing one, I have to say. Like the woman that wrote it shows. She kind of wrote it like a lawyer, with all kinds of proofs that there was a very deep love connection between Ruth and Naomi. That Ruth was very much in love with Naomi, and when you think about it, it's the most beautiful love declaration in the Bible. You can't find another an equivalent love declaration in the Bible. So it's one of the interpretations. It's
Do you know the author?
No, I don't remember, but if you send us your email, I can send it to you.
He will send me in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for sure an American author. I just well, if I have it in Hebrew, I can find it in English for sure.
Okay, well, I can look it up on Google Scholar.
But in the end, she becomes the great grandmother of King David, though. So
yes.
Does kind of that part of it.
Aha, interesting, very interesting. I didn't think about it. It can be proof that another proof that it's genetic. Yeah, that's a very good comment. Thank you. Yeah, very interesting.
I can't believe it, but it's already an hour that we're talking. It's so, I mean, we're having so, it went by so fast. Does anybody has any question or any other
I want to
comment?
thank you. It was really nice and with a lot of knowledge.
Thank
and
you.
I'm so happy to know that we have someone like you now in the partnership. It's great.
Wow, thank you. Thank
It's
you.
nice. Yeah, Al and Yael.
Yo. No, would you like to say
Is it,
something?
can I just ask, is it Rice, R-E-I-S-S?
Rice?
From
What
2007?
Oh,
the article. I don't remember
Okay,
now.
I'll
I
be
need to look.
quiet.
But it's I think the title was it starts. I can tell you how it starts. It starts in a very interesting way. She says that she was teaching a class and somebody asked if homophobia comes from the word home, like if it's fear from home. Which I thought is fascinating and beautiful. And then she talks about the fact that in a way it is fear from home. So so it starts like this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yael, can you send me the Hebrew version of the article?
Yeah, I think I have it in Hebrew. I'm pretty sure I have it in Hebrew.
Okay, Avital has my email, so no problem there.
And
Great.
Tanya
I have
can
all of you.
translate.
Thank you for sharing. It was very,
Thank you.
very interesting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It's
Thank
on
you,
the
guys.
screen as well.
Thank you for this progressive thought. That's good.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
enjoy the holiday.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
And thank you
And
guys
Thanks,
for
Samir.
coming. I had a lot of
Thanks
fun.
again. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laila Tov, everyone.
Laila Tov.
Laila Tov.
I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Marcy.
Noah told me all about you, Rabbi.
Marcy,
What?
stay a
Who?
minute.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I will.
Thank
You want me to stay, Noah?
Yeah, stay a
Okay.
minute.
Okay. Then.
Wait, but רגע, אביטל, תסגרי את הלייב.